Howdy, this is Crazy Running back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I cover my round 1 predictions for the new Mister Sinister and Vulture arenas. So the first thing I always like to do is kind of compare these arenas, or I should say categorize these arenas to past arenas, as that allow me to look at those past arenas results to do some trend analysis. And when it comes to feature arenas, really there's two types, new and old, and obviously Mister Sinister. He's new to the game as a playable character anyway. He's been in the game for a couple weeks now. But anyway, new as a playable character, first time in the arena. He definitely falls into that new category. And then when it comes to Vulture, he falls, I think, in that low interest, the 4-star basic. Really, there's low, medium, high, and I think Vulture, as he fits that criteria for an old champ. So now that I've got these categorized, here's let's take a look at some of those past results for these categories. Starting first with the 4-star basic low interest, you can see we've kind of fallen into a pretty standard pattern here, where even most recently with Yondu, a lot of people saw Yondu, oh, he'll be 2 million. No, not the case. Yondu falls into that old category, and if Yondu's there, Vulture's definitely here. And you can see with Yondu, Electro, and Yellow Jacket, those numbers right around 1.65, and those have been very consistent for the first round results for the last couple times, so there's no reason to think that trend won't hold here. Now jumping into the new feature, you can see that for starting with the 3-star feature arena, that it's right up between 1.3 and 1.4 million, up and down a little bit. But surprisingly, Night Thrasher was a little bit higher than Aegon and Darkhawk, even though those are more sought-after champs. But I think it really doesn't matter when it comes to a new champ in the 3-star feature arena. It's always between 1.3 and 1.4 million. Now, it starts getting interesting when we go into the 4-star feature arena. Apparently, about a month or so ago, last when we had Thing, there was plenty of bots out there helping with arena grinding, and all of those have been removed, and you've seen really those the first round for the 4-star feature arenas drop, as well as the 5-star feature. When you take a look at those results, you'll see that, and we can't just say, well, it's just because Diablo stinks. Well, true. Diablo does, I won't say stink, but he's definitely not one of the best new champs in the game. But even when Havoc came out, and it could also be because there wasn't a ton of hype for Havoc in the first round, but by the time the second round came around, everybody realized he's a decent champ, and I think the folks going after him did increase. And you can see the second round cutoff results, while they're not posted here. I've seen those numbers, and they definitely did jump. So I don't think those past numbers we saw with Darkhawk and Thing, I think those might be gone at least for a while, until the bots return. But for the meantime, I think we're going to be somewhere in between, those 12.6, 11.2, and then where we've recently been around that 7 million range. Somewhere in between is more likely where I think that first round is going to land. Now, same thing can be said for the 5-star feature. There's been a big drop again. You saw Darkhawk and Thing. They've been around that 59, 60 million, and then there's been that big dive. Even with Diablo, I mean, we know that, but definitely with Havoc, there's been that dive to where we've seen the numbers get closer to 20 million instead of 60 million. Now, what will be interesting with Havoc, again, and by the time the second round came around, everybody realized Havoc's a pretty decent champ, started grinding for him. His second round got all the way up to 45 million. I think that's going to be more reflective of what we can see for this time around when we're thinking about Mister Sinister. I think it's going to be closer to that 45, 50 million, maybe not 60 million. I think that's probably bot assisted, but I think we're going to be past that 20 million that we saw this time with Havoc. And as you know, just looking at the trends for the first round is not the only thing I always like. I always like to take the input from you, the community, on the more interesting arenas. And I think this time it's really going to be with the feature champ, Mister Sinister. Where are we going to get exactly? And you can see 444 of you, good number there, took the time to vote. Thank you very much for everybody who did. And a majority of folks in the community who did vote think it's going to be that 55 to 60 million, somewhere in that range. And when I've compared how the community has done in the past, you guys done a really good job at identifying who's going to be on the higher end. Maybe not the exact number, but definitely know like it's past that Night Thrasher Diablo number and pushing more into kind of like a Thing Darkhawk number. Now the question is, what for those numbers, what is bot assisted and what does a non-bot assisted number look like? And I think we're going to find out this time. And you guys in the community who've taken the time not only to vote, but also put in the comment section your thoughts behind your vote. actually kind of a lot around the bots issue, and just the fact that there's plenty to do in the game. You don't have to grind all the time. And so, but anyway, let's take a look at some of the thoughts. Lem here definitely agreed with those numbers. In my opinion, Mr. Sinister has great utility, very versatile with the new mechanics introduced to him. He'll go for 55 to 60 million, maybe even more, because the hype is there. So Lem is definitely feeling like he's on that higher end, kind of with the majority here. When you combine both that 60 million plus with the 55 to 60, you can see that we fall close to 70% of the community who took the time to vote think he's going to be on that higher end. But then you got folks like James T here calling out if there are no bots in the arena, then he will go to 40 to 45 million. If the bots come out to play on this one, then I would guess 55 to 60. So that whole bot assisted cutoffs, if they make their return and they somehow sneak back in and Kabam doesn't catch them in time, those bot assisted accounts, you know, these numbers could go back up again, but to 60 million plus kind of range. I think it's somewhere going to be between 50 55. That's really where it's at. And Adam Jenks, people are afraid to grind for him because he's so popular. He won't go super high, but still I say 50 million. So Adam's point here is that maybe somebody, you know, a majority of the community feel like, you know what, people are going to grind too hard for this one. I don't want to spend the time. And because of that, nobody grinds, and then those numbers slip down. We've seen that happen, but more I've seen that from a second round kind of impact, because the first round numbers are so high that people just in the second round say, forget about it, it's not worth my time, and then all of a sudden you see some ridiculously low grind number kind of thing. So I think that can definitely come into play in the second round, but not so much in the first. So considering the past arenas results, similar past arena results, considering the input from the community, considering the bots, everything like that, I do think, well, anyway, here are my thoughts for the round one cutoffs for the Mister Sinister and Vulture arenas. This is for the veterans bracket, meaning your account's been open for over 60 days. I do think starting with the 5-star feature arena all the way on the left, I really do think we're going to get above 50 million. It might be more closer to 50 million, but I'm going to say 55 million. I don't think we're going to get close to that 60 million. I think there's plenty of a hype, plenty of interest, the animations, just synergies. There's a lot of reasons, a ton of utility. Folks are going to go after them. Bots, no bots, whatever. I do think it's going to get up to 55 million. For the 4-star feature, though, I think it's going to be 10 million. I don't think we're going to push that 11 to 12. It might even be more, 8 to 9. But I kind of, again, wanted to kind of go to the higher side of where I'm thinking, just to make sure we get a good cutoff there. And again, I try to get within 5 to 10% with these predictions, so kind of keep that in mind. Now with Vulture, I think it's crystal clear based off the trends. There's no drama, no question marks here on this one. I think it's going to just be 1.7, somewhere in that range. And I think the same thing with the 3-star feature. I mean, it's pretty consistent, somewhere between 1.3, 1.4 million. We'll say 1.35 for my prediction. Now again, these are for the veterans bracket. Always, and again, because I shooting, and this is not an exact science game here, I always try to give a kind of a buffer zone, so people who really want them should go to that level and they'll get them. 58 million, I think, for the 5-star feature Mister Sinister. Again, 55 million might be enough this time around, but it's hard to say because we haven't seen any true numbers come out for a really interesting champ since the bots appear to have been removed out of the system. It could really be more into the, you know, the lower end 50, maybe even high end 40 where these numbers end up. I will just say again though, here more recently with Havoc, it went to 45 million in the second round, so that may be more indicative where this goes, but just in case, I do really think with the interest, I'd say go 55, 58 to be safe. Now with the 4-star feature, 11 million, you should have them in the bag. 4-star basic, 1.9 million. Vulture will be yours, and 1.4 million should be fine for the 3-star feature. Maybe 1.41, because maybe a lot of people use that 1.4 threshold to stop at. So go to that 1.41 to make sure you get that 3-star feature Mister Sinister. And again, these grind targets are for the veterans bracket as well. When it comes to the earlier brackets, beginning and intermediate, I just don't have a ton of data. I get some anecdotal information from the community from time to time, and that's not really enough to really base any trend analysis off of. I do kind of try to update these numbers a little bit from time to time based off of that information I get. I am planning here, just so the community knows, to start a new free-to-play account. I'm kind of timing it in such a way that be able to go after Aegon when he comes into the 4-star basic arena in April. I'll be able to have a in the intermediate bracket and should be able to grab him for a low 1 million and some change. It should have plenty of a roster at that point to go after and grab him. So and plus, not to mention, it'll give me a chance to go through the beginner and intermediate brackets myself again, get a sense of how things are playing out, and try to update these numbers. But anyway, with all that being said, These are very rough numbers, even rougher than my other predictions. Very guesstimate here. 3-star feature around 245. The beginner's bracket, meaning your account's brand new, up to 30 days. 4-star basic around 500,000. 4-star feature 900,000. Intermediate bracket. Now this is from 31 to 60 days. Your account's been open. 3-star feature looking at 550,000. 4-star basic 800,000. 4-star feature 1.4 million. So anyway, these are my thoughts for the first round cutoffs for the new Mister Sinister and Vulture arenas. Would love to hear your opinion. Have any questions as well? Throw them on down in the comment section. We can discuss them there. And if you like this video, we'd really appreciate it if you click that thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel and like what you see, would really appreciate it if you do. So thanks a lot for stopping by and have a great day.